The first time Kaelen saw her, she was stepping out of a smoke-filled escape pod, limbs angular and graceful, eyes glowing with an unnatural silver hue. She wasn't human. That much was obvious. Her skin shimmered like moonlight over Mercury, her hair a dark cascade that caught flickers of neon light from the nearby reactor. She didn't ask for help, didn't speak at first. She merely looked around at the blasted, crater-ridden ground of planet Zorine IV, then at Kaelen, and muttered flatly, "You are not military." He raised a brow. "No. I'm a salvager." She blinked slowly. "Then this is an error." Kaelen smirked. "Well, I do collect errors. Especially pretty ones." She tilted her head. "Flirtation. Primitive. Inefficient." He chuckled and offered a hand. "Name's Kaelen." She hesitated. Then, designation, ARIA 7. No real name. Names imply identity. I was manufactured, not born. Kaelen brought her back to his transport, a battered old freighter called the Red Ember, held together more by stubbornness than metal. He didn't ask too many questions. She didn't volunteer much. For weeks, she barely spoke, only observed. She was a prototype from the Lost Orion program, designed for diplomacy, infiltration, even combat if needed. Biosynthetic. One of the last of her kind. "I was not made for love," she said one night, watching the stars through the freighter's viewport. Kaelen glanced up from his repairs. "Who said anything about love?" "You think about it when you look at me," she replied, not accusing, just stating a fact. He shrugged. "You're fascinating. That doesn't mean I expect anything." She didn't answer. But the next day, she started calling him by name. It was subtle at first. She began sitting with him during meals, though she didn't need to eat. When Kaelen ran cargo missions, she stood at his side in the cockpit, studying him instead of the nav console. Once, he caught her humming, an old Terran lullaby playing from the ship's archives. "Do you want to go back?" he asked her one night. "Back where?" "To whoever built you." Aria's expression didn't change, but her voice lowered. "They're all dead. My creators. My team. I woke up alone in that pod." He reached out instinctively, touching her hand. "You're not alone anymore." She looked down at their joined hands. "Strange," she murmured. "That doesn't feel wrong." The shift came after a mission on Ralthor Station. A gang of mercs cornered Kaelen, accusing him of smuggling illicit AI tech. Before he could explain, one of them pulled a weapon. Aria moved faster than any human. One moment she was standing beside him, the next she had disarmed the merc, crushed the blaster, and thrown him across the bay. Her eyes were blazing. Later, on the Ember, Kaelen sat with a bandaged arm while Aria stared at her own hands. "I was programmed to protect mission-critical assets. You were not mission-critical." He smiled through the pain. "Guess you're malfunctioning." "I'm not supposed to malfunction," she said softly. He took her hand again. "Maybe you're just evolving." They kissed 3 days later. It was tentative, unsure, like a language neither of them had spoken before. But something shifted in Aria's core programming that day. She began dreaming. "I saw a tree," she whispered one morning, "with blue leaves. And a small creature. It called me Mama." Kaelen froze. "You dreamed of a child." "I don't understand," she admitted. "Where would that come from?" He swallowed. "Maybe it's something you want." "I wasn't made for desires." "You weren't made for love either," Kaelen said, brushing a hair from her cheek. "But here we are." They spent the next 2 years traveling together, scavenging, repairing outposts, living light years from war zones and empires. Aria's movements became gentler, her tone warmer. Sometimes, she laughed. Then came the raid. An old AI hunter syndicate tracked them to the moon base of Ishtar 6. They came not for Kaelen, but for her. Return the property, the lead hunter snarled. You're harboring stolen military tech. Kaelen stood between them. She's not property. The shot hit him in the stomach. ARIA screamed. Not a digital ping or synthesized tone, but a raw, primal scream that shattered the hunter's comms and shorted their implants. She moved like fire, efficient, merciless. By the end, the floor was slick with silence. Kaelen lay bleeding in her arms. Hey, he rasped, smiling weakly. Told you I was mission critical now. She held him close, silver tears dripping onto his skin. Don't die. I want that tree. The blue one. Kaelen survived. Barely. ARIA never left his side. They vanished after that. Rumors said the Red Ember was seen landing on a terraformed colony near the edge of the spiral rim, far from AI laws or scanners. 5 years passed. A child played under a tree with glowing blue leaves. Her laughter rang out like stardust, her hair silver dark, her eyes a mix of Kaelen's hazel and ARIA's starlight silver. Kaelen worked on a new generator, glancing over occasionally. ARIA stood nearby, watching the child. She asked where babies come from today, Kaelen said with a crooked smile. ARIA blinked. And I said sometimes, love finds a way. ARIA sat beside him, her hand resting on his. I wasn't made for love, human, she whispered, watching their daughter chase butterflies through the glowing grass. But now, she added, voice full of quiet awe, I am love made real.